By the term reason, I understand not a new force in the physical world, but a new harmony in vital forces. It signifies a conjunction and mutual modification of impulses or impressions in a man or in a society, a life led in the light or the shadow of the past and the possible. Such lights and shadows may reach the spirit in the form of images or emotions, but even the most explicit deliberation or reasoning can never do justice to the elements that render a decision rational. That would require not only superhuman penetration, but a superhuman freedom from distraction by irrelevant accidents. The net of true reason, however thin its web or wide its meshes, must be cast over the whole psyche and the whole world. Even the great moments of intuition, which often come at the crises of action, are mere flashes over sudden, impartial perspectives. They are wonderful visions, but events shape themselves afterwards, as before, in obedience to 1,000 other currents. So when Caesar said, "The die is cast," there was an unusually just realization of the past and future destinies of mankind. Ordinary rational decisions make only short, clear runs amid the turbid rapids of existence. However unified the world may be mechanically, it would be in utter chaos, historically, if certain coordinations were not often reproduced by being ingrained in self-repeating tropes, or by seminal involution in hereditary psyches. Such material rhythms introduce permanent forms into the flux of events, but they are not in themselves rational, since the dynamic rhythms do not vary at each reduction already possible with the variations in circumstances. So too the instruments and methods adopted in the arts, without reproducing themselves biologically, become habitual, even if adopted consciously and by concentration of attention on things. These tricks of the trade are not embraced or preserved rationally, but by a sort of confluent affinity or amorous attraction of the artist towards the subject matter and its life. The image so clarified and the twist so given to the hand become fixed in the delighted craftsman. He feels that he has been inspired and has become a master, and his sense of mastery blinds him to the generative instability of nature, both in himself and in the world. He clings, and his apprentices cling, to their primitive images and primitive tools. The world outgrows them, and seems to forsake the element of rationality which they, in their momentary mastery, had thought they had found and acquired forever. But their knowledge and skill have come to them by an inspired empiricism, without any clear understanding of nature or of themselves, and their discomfiture is inescapable, since so long as they cling to their special style, they must exaggerate more stubbornly the claims of their art as it falls more and more short of its rational function in the eyes of the rising generation. In politics, however, as in trade, the element of rationality is explicit, and the whole is carried on in conventional terms of interest, claims, and wrongs, the nature and grounds of which seem self-evident. As in a market, nobody questions the value of money, so in a political debate or election, nobody questions the value of victory for his own party or his own opinions. Prosperity in the country and influence in the world make success in government, as gaining or retaining votes mark success in debate. Yet the character of that prosperity or influence and its consequences, and the character of the opinions and passions displayed in that debate would alone determine, truly, whether that debate and that government have been rational. The real but relative place of reason in politics was better understood in the absolute monarchies of the 17th and 18th centuries than it has been afterwards under liberal parliamentary governments. Proprietary dynasties and their ministers knew, as any landlord and his agents and solicitors know, what the object of their policy really was. It was copious rents, peacefully collected, which would secure splendor at home and glory abroad. Personally, the king might be weak or licentious, but insofar as he was intelligent, he could not help seeing his own or his servants' folly in neglecting his interest and duty as the head of a royal house. The very precision of these interests and duties, however, would make evident their conflict with the similar but rival interests of other monarchs and their states, so that politics could have the precise but futile rationality of a game of chess or a perfectly written tragedy. Politics was the art of winning a worthless or fatal prize, which custom and emulation prompted you to play for. There was excitement in the game, and perhaps glory. The leaders and orators in parliamentary countries have inherited something of this proprietary sentiment of princes, but the nominal, as well as the real objects of their zeal, have become confused. Their nominal enemies are contrary opinions at home, and the real interests which those rival opinions defend are supposed to be rival interests of the home population. What could be more rational than a society where the real interests of each class are opposed to those of all other classes? If, then, rival opinions represent rival interests, they represent false imaginary interests, and then politics would be not an art designed to secure real benefits to society, but a scramble for office among sophistical rhetoricians. Rhetoricians may be sincere, and must be so, at least momentarily, if they are eloquent, but the same may be said of sophists, whose sophistry may become a faith. The defense of any faith may be rationalized, and everything except its foundations, which remain out of sight. Modern politics have inherited the traditions of religious propaganda and apologetics, so that the natural interests of society, which would be the inspiration of a rational government, may be deliberately subordinated to the supernatural interests of the soul, as defined by revolutionary prophets. Modern politics thus have an emotional mainspring, so that opinions are advocated apart from political considerations, and this prophetic and fanatical spirit may be merged incongruously with the advocacy of grossly material interests and private passions. So liberalism has preached religious toleration and lay scientific education for the people, while the real interests that further were free trade and the concentrated wealth that this facilitated. A paternal government that imposed a particular religion and social order on its subjects inevitably stifled trade and stabilized social classes. It was therefore odious to merchants, and also to eccentric sects and individuals, who therefore became political allies of the enterprising capitalists and monopolists. The banners of humanitarianism and equality, which the rich liberals carried aloft without any sense of hypocrisy, have now been snatched from their hands by a return wave of communism and dogmatic unanimity. But can unanimity and communism coexist with vital liberty? Liberalism secured vital liberty for the rich and for the geniuses, if the latter can make themselves known. For liberty fostered by prosperity is intellectual as well as personal. It is on the very fruits of this moral and intellectual liberty that the spirits of unanimous mankind might feed at first. But what fruits would a unified human society bear if it must remain unified? The animal material needs of the human race might be unified by a severe medical and economic regimen universally imposed, but primal will and vital liberty are centrifugal and divergent, so that the goods they pursue are incompatible existentially and complementary only for a pure spirit, seeing them ideally for the form of eternity.